Okay guys, my name is Faithless Tone. I'm going to show you my build. This is my legendary solo build. This is the build that I use for all of my solo legendary builds, or solo legendary runs. Um, this build does have variations, but I'm going to go over my main one right here. So first things first, we're going to go over the exotics. I paired the Capacitor with the um, Momento, and I'm using the Technician. The reason why I'm using Technician is you get a +1 skill tier with the amped passive talent. I also went with Overclock CPU, which is an extra plus 10% skill damage. With the Capacitor, it says shooting enemies build stacks to a cap of 40. Each stack grants 1.5 skill damage. After 5 seconds, stacks decay 1 per second. So basically at 40 stacks, you can have plus 60% skill damage. And then it says for each skill tier gain 7.5 weapon damage. So it's about half of what a red core attribute would be. But you have to be using the capacitor in order to get that damage buff. And so that's why I went with 6 skill tiers. You have 1 with Momento, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with the Technician. It also comes with 1 red and another blue. I went with 1 blue on my gear instead of a red because it would only be an extra 15% weapon damage, and I'd rather have the extra armor. First piece to go over is the Ballstone Armory mask. I went with full armor, armor regen, crit chance, and crit damage. I have the Fenris chest piece with the assault rifle damage. I switched skill tier, armor regen, crit chance, and crit damage. I went with Gruppo. I switched the weapon damage core to skill tier. I have crit chance and skill damage. I have Seska holster, skill tier, skill damage, and armor regen. And I have the Emperor's Guard, which is an exclusive DZ only drop. You can get these from seasonal named caches, but if you really want to farm it, you'd have to go to the DZ. I would go there on days where they have either Murakami or knee pads. I would say probably do Murakami. It'd probably be a better chance of dropping because there are chances of other knee pads of dropping. I went with the Emperor's Guard because of the 1% armor regen. So basically with the Momento at full stacks, so enemies that you kill drop a trophy, so you have to go pick up the trophy. It has a long-term and short-term buff. The short-term buff gives you for 10 seconds plus 5 weapon damage, plus 10 armor, and plus 5 skill efficiency. And the long buff, which is basically stacks up to 30, but it's for 300 seconds, and that gives you plus 1 weapon damage, plus 1 skill efficiency, and 0.1 armor regen. With a full 30 stack, that's 30 weapon damage and 30 skill efficiency. Skill efficiency comes out to be weapon damage, or skill damage, skill health, and skill duration. And also skill haste. So that's pretty good. And then the armor regeneration comes out to about 3%. Since I'm at 1.1 million armor, that comes out to about 33,000 armor regen per second. But with what I have right here, I have 35,000 on my armor innately. So with the extra 33,000, I get up to 68,000 armor regen, which is about 6%, a little more than 6% armor regen per second. Armor regen is a must in legendary missions. I don't care who you are. If you're doing it solo, you need armor regen. And I would say Unbreakable is also a must. Basically, it doubles your armor every 60 seconds. Um, it's the best for solo legendary by far. With the 30% skill damage you get from Momento and the 60 you get from the Capacitor, and the 30 you have on the build that I have, it doubles the damage that you get from skill tier 6. So it brings it up to 240 skill damage, and then plus the 10% you get from the Technician. So that's 250 skill damage. And I didn't spec anything into skill damage on this build. I also have at least 50% crit chance, and that's kind of where you want to stay, is 50% crit chance. And you can remove skill damage or add skill damage to increase or decrease the crit damage on your build. So basically you can take out some of the skill damages that I have on my build and switch them out for crit damage, but you want to stay at about 50% crit chance. With this build by itself, here, let me go show you. To armor, I do 260 crits and 120 base, which is not bad for a full skill build. So it's not bad damage at all. With full stacks, without Momento, the turret's doing 124, and the drone is doing 77,000, and that's not bad damage. I mean, it's not the best, but at the same time, my idea is that I'm going to be shooting in the fight as well. So the reason why I went with crit chance and crit damage, and I see a lot of people playing with the Capacitor without any skill crit chance and crit damage, they just spec everything into skill damage. And I would say that's kind of a waste, because on the Capacitor itself, it comes with 10% crit chance and 30% crit damage. That right there is a complete waste if you don't use it. And so that's kind of why I spec'd into crit chance and crit damage, and it's been working for me so far. Now I do have this build with that 3 skill damages on my build, but I have one that has and I also have one that has no skill damage on it. And with this one, I'm doing 300k crits. And I've soloed legendary with all these variations, but the thing that I keep consistent with all of these builds is 50% crit chance, 3% armor regen without Momento procced, and Unbreakable. As you see, everything has Unbreakable. That's what you need to have for this build in order to work. It's Capacitor, Momento, 50% crit chance, and 3% armor regen. And did I say Unbreakable? Yeah. So as long as you have all of those things, you can put skill damage, you can put explosive damage, you can do whatever you want. But those are the things that are consistent in my build, and I consistently am doing legendary between an hour and an hour and a half. It seems long, but I mean, I'm doing it solo, man. So anyways, that's my build. I hope you liked it. Let's go back to my original. So that's my build, and I hope you enjoyed. This is Faithless Tone, and I'm out.